Hey, welcome back to Devotions from History. The land of Israel has had a long and tumultuous history. It was a land that, according to the Jewish scriptures in the book of Genesis, God had promised to a man named Abraham and his descendants. Now, Abraham's descendants did settle that land and had a prosperous golden age there under the reigns of Kings David and Solomon. But that was followed by a succession of conquering by world empires until it culminated in 70 AD when the Roman Empire destroyed Jerusalem, including its temple. And after a second Jewish revolt in 135 AD, there were no Jews remaining in Jerusalem. They were scattered and dispersed among the world. Well, in the intervening years, anti-Semitism caused a lot of problems for Jewish people, and that's an understatement. They were banned from living in certain places, banned from having certain kind of jobs, and there was a general dislike of Jewish people in many, many places around the world. Well, in the late 1800s, a new movement arose called Zionism. Zionism's goal was to create and establish an independent Jewish state in Palestine where Jews would have a safe place to go and live with their own government and their own people. Well, after World War I, the League of Nations turned the rule of Palestine over to the British Empire. And during the 1930s, as Nazi persecution of Jews became more and more of an issue, many Jewish refugees fled to Palestine, greatly upsetting the Palestinian Arabs who were already living there. Well, after World War II, the British Empire turned the reign and the Palestinian problem over to the United Nations. And when the vote came in the UN General Assembly of what to do with Palestine, the plan that was endorsed was to create a separate Jewish state and a separate Arab state, all there in Palestine, with Jerusalem being an international zone. On this date, May 14th of 1948, the day before the British mandate was to stop, David Ben-Gurion stood and proclaimed and read the Jewish Declaration of Independence, proclaiming that there now existed an independent Jewish state in Israel for the first time in 2,000 years. You know, God had promised to a Jewish prophet, Ezekiel, that he would return his people from exile and that they would return to their very land that they had left. God does keep his promises. We don't always understand them. We don't always understand the circumstances, and we certainly do not always like them. And still, things are not settled in the land of Israel. But we know this from the scriptures that God does keep his promises. The Jewish people can depend on those promises, and so can you. I'll see you tomorrow on Devotions from History.